So this very rich 70-year-old guy walks into the country club, and on his arm was his new 25-year-old drop-dead gorgeous wife. And needless to say, it turned the heads of every single member in the club that day. Later that evening, one of the club members pulled him aside and said, "Hey, how did you get such a young, beautiful woman to fall in love with you?" And the 70-year-old said, "I lied about my age." The older member said, "So you told her you were 50? He said, "No, I told her I was 90. Okay. So, we are in the second week of our 6-week annual Songs of Life series, because we love music so much that it can uplift us and help inspire us in so many different ways. So I always find songs that kind of inspire me to share some spiritual message with you. Last week we started with "This Is Me" from The Greatest Showman. It was about being proud of who we are, about loving and accepting ourselves just the way we are, because we all struggle at some level of wondering if we're enough. And so that song shared and taught us that wonderful and important lesson. Today we're going to look at the 1972 Bill Withers hit, "Lean on Me." So can you remember the last time you went through a really difficult time and you had to lean on someone for some support to help you get through it? And can you remember how good it feels to know that someone's got your back? That someone is there for you, believes in you, and supports you? And can you remember the last time that you had a friend or someone and they had to lean on you? And can you remember how good it felt to know that you were there for them, that you had their back, and that you were there to love and support them through it? Bill Withers wanted to write a song about love, but he didn't want to write a romantic one. He wanted to write of a love that he said was more consistent and wide-ranging, in that we can share that love with anyone and everyone. It is the love of being there for someone, particularly through the times of challenge and loss. And this being there and leaning on someone comes in many forms. It could be to just hold their hand. It could be to hold them while they cry. It could be to smile or give them a hug or an encouraging word. It could be helping them carry their groceries or fix a flat tire. I mean, there are all kinds of ways we can have people lean on us, all kinds of ways we can be there for others and to help support others. And the thing about this song, I think it teaches us we absolutely need each other. That not just to get through the tough times, which is huge, but we need each other to feel greater levels of love, to feel what compassion, to feel what love, to feel what intimacy, to feel what belonging, to feel what connection, to feel what community and oneness and togetherness really feels like. We need one another. That's what the song "Lean on Me" is all about. It's about a giving and a sharing of our love and ourselves with one another, because that's what makes us stronger. That's what makes us all better. The first lines are, "Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow." And that's true. We all experience pain. And whether that pain is from loneliness or disappointment or being mistreated or going through some misfortune, we all feel that pain in life. And we all go through sorrow, whether it's a loss of a loved one or feeling a level of hopelessness or sadness or feeling like our life's falling apart. We all feel some sorrow. There are all kinds of scriptures that share the depth of pain and sorrow we can go through. One of them from Psalm 6 says, "My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord? How long?" And we have all felt that depth of pain and sorrow, and maybe going through some of it right now. And my question is, why do you think there's pain and sorrow in our lives? Why do you think there's pain and sorrow in our families, in our communities, in our country, and our world? When Jesus said, "In this life there'll be trials and tribulations," and when you're saying that, pain and sorrow is a part of the deal. And the truth is, some of the pain and sorrow is self-induced, self-created, and yet it is still important. Why? Because pain and sorrow is there to help teach us. It is there to help us, to open us, to guide us, and to transform us. So think of something that you're feeling some pain and sorrow about. And think to yourself, what is it there to teach you? How is it there to help you? How is it there to open you? And I'll tell you the single thing, if I had to say one word of what it's there for, to open us to, it is to open us to love. It is to, sometimes the pain and the hurt forces us to open our hearts to love and be loved, to support one another, to care for one another. Because love is a thing we seek more than anything else. There is no accomplishment or achievement in life that can ever fill the place of feeling loved and cherished and cared for, appreciated and valued. You know, Paul said, love is the fulfilling of the law. And love is the thing that fulfills us, that fulfills life. And Lean on Me is about sharing that dimensions and aspects of that absolute love. And so could you imagine life without any pain or sorrow? And you're probably thinking, yeah, it'd be fabulous. But here's what I think it is. If we had no pain and sorrow, I think we would have less compassion, less kindness, less consideration and thoughtfulness and generosity. I think we would reach out to each other less. I think that pain and sorrow are opportunities that we are given to demonstrate deeper levels of love and kindness and compassion and care for one another. To say lean on me is to say love, let yourself love and be loved. And so we're going to look at today the message that the song Lean on Me is here to show us. And I think what it is here to show us is how to transform our pain and sorrow into expanding our capacity to love and be loved. So after some time in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. It says, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. And what I love about that line, to me, that sounds like a line of hope. That no matter what's pain and sorrow you're going through, there's always tomorrow. There is hope. Ever had a time when you felt like you lost your hope? When we lose our hope, it's like we lose our belief that life will ever get better. We think that it'll never get better. It'll only be this way or even get worse. You know, somebody once said that if we could bottle hope, it would be more powerful than any antidepressant drug. There is something about hope that lifts us up, that can see beyond whatever is going on right now and know that there's something better. That my broken heart will heal. That I will find love again. That even though I feel lost, there will be clarity and direction. I will have greater understanding. I will get greater confidence and strength and belief in myself again. All the things. Hope lets us believe and open the door to greater possibilities and greater joy and greater blessings. You know, hope is the difference between feeling like a victim and feeling like a survivor and a thriver. If we are wise, we know there's always tomorrow. Yeah, there's pain and sorrow, but there's always hope. There is always hope that things will get better. There's always that available for each and every one of us. But even in the midst of pain and sorrow, we need to live with hope. The second thing, I think, converting pain and sorrow into expanding our capacity to love and be loved is to listen to these words. It says, please swallow your pride if I have anything that you need to borrow. For no one can fill those needs you have unless you let them show, that you won't let show. So just call on me, brother, when you need a friend. And so all of those things are talking about opening up and reaching out. You know, swallowing your pride and saying, hey, I need some help. Hey, I'm struggling. One of the toughest things for most of us is to ask for what we want. And you know what's even harder? Is to ask for help. We don't like it. We have a culture that teaches self-sufficiency, independence. You got to do it for yourself and make it on your own. And that's fine and beautiful and wonderful. But we take it to the extreme, to the point that we're embarrassed to ask for help. That we think that we will look like we're needy, that we're weak. You know, we think that it'll look down on, people look down on us and think we're not competent or capable or successful. You know, and especially when it comes to wanting some emotional help, then we rather suffer in silence. We would rather continue saying nothing and feeling stuck, empty, and hurt than open our mouths and ask for help. That we really do need to swallow our pride. But how can someone help us when we won't show what we need help in? You know, it's interesting. We live in a world where instant communication is right there, bing, 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 with our phones, and we're passing selfies back and forth. You would think the bonds and connection and closeness of people and relationships should be incredible with all the technology we have. And yet, studies show that we are feeling more lonely and isolated than ever before. I saw a thing with a family sitting around at the table with all of them on their iPhones, and it says, being alone together. And the fact is, depression is at a high rate, addiction's at a high rate, using those types of drugs, suicide. And why would that be in a world of such wealth and abundance and so many ways to connect with each other? It is because we won't ask. It is because we rather pretend we're doing okay than allowing ourselves to ask and share what's going on. But here's the good news. We can do something about it. Two important things we could do. Number one is to ask. The Bible says, ask and you shall receive. Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you've received it. Ask God, who gives generously all. We need to ask. Percy Ross says, you got to ask. Asking, in my opinion, is the world's most powerful and neglected secret to success. We got to reach out and ask. Martin Root says one of my favorite quotes. He says, you got to do it for yourself, and you can't do it alone. You got to do it for yourself, and you can't do it alone. Here's probably the best biblical example I can give. It's in 2 Kings. It's the story of the widow's oil. And so her husband died. There are a lot of debtors coming after her. She's got 2 sons. She's afraid that the debtors will come take her sons, and she'll be alone. So she goes to Elijah and says, hey, could you help me out? Here's what he says. He said, what do you got in your house? She said, nothing except a little oil. Then Elijah said, go and ask all your neighbors for some empty jars. And don't just ask for a few. And then go inside and shut the door, and then with you and your sons, pour the oil into the jars, and each will be filled. When it does, set aside, and it will not stop flowing until all the jars are filled. But here's the thing. It was her oil. She had to do it for herself, and she couldn't do it alone. She had to go ask her neighbors for help and support. It's a perfect little analogy of life. Nobody does anything by themselves. We need each other. And the more that we lean out and ask each other and work with each other and develop a level of support, the better and better and better our lives will be. So where in your life do you need some support? And are you willing to ask and open a path for that support to flow and come? You know, sometimes we're all very good at helping more than allowing ourselves to be helped. And so it's great to be able to ask, but I think it's also important that we got to go a little deeper, because sometimes we could find ways of not dealing with our own stuff by helping other people with their stuff, if that makes sense. It's good and important, but there's a point at which we might not be looking at ourselves. And one of the things, the next step that we need to use is to be willing to be vulnerable. Sharing ourselves, sharing of our feelings, sharing what's really going on with us. Because sometimes we don't like admitting even to ourselves that we're feeling hurt or lost or lonely. You know, this one patient said to his therapist, I get so angry and I hate it that you're always saying, and how does that make you feel? And how does that make you feel? I find it just, I just can't believe that. It just irritates me. He said, and so how does that make you feel? And so, and it's a silly little joke, but it brings a point. So how does that make you feel? One of the things, we rather take actions than really go look and feel and accept and acknowledge what it is that's going on with us. Really, there's sometimes fear if I acknowledge that I'm weak or this or that we're going to be stuck there, especially new thought positive people. We could sometimes not want to go there, and it's important to go there to shine the light on it so that it doesn't control us as much. And so my question is that where in your life can you be more honest and more vulnerable with yourself to acknowledge what's really going on? Because I tell you, it's like bringing down a wall to create more openness and intimacy in being able to be and willing to be vulnerable. Because it creates connection, it creates closeness, it creates intimacy when we share more of ourselves and not be afraid that we'll be judged or seen as weak. You know, developing that skill of vulnerability takes practice. It's not an easy thing. You know, we have to be willing to trust ourselves, willing to trust others, and willing to lay it out there and know we're going to be okay no matter what. I am willing to be vulnerable and ask for what I want. Together? I am willing to be vulnerable and to ask for what I want. It is safe for me to ask for what I want. Together? It is safe for me to ask for what I want. It is safe for me to feel and share my feelings. Together? It is safe for me to feel and share my feelings. It is safe for me to give and receive love. Together? It is safe to give and receive, and that's what it comes down to. Asking in vulnerability is expanding our capacity and our willingness to give and share love and to accept and receive love. And the final thing is the lines when it says, lean on me when you're not strong and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on for you. It won't be long till I'm going to need somebody to lean on. And so one of the things about this, it is powerful, the reciprocal blessings and benefits of what happens when we allow someone to help us and allow ourselves to help others. I've cited this many times before. They did this study about giving and sharing and helping people, and they showed that when we do an act of kindness for someone else, it increases our serotonin levels. It's a neurotransmitter that makes us, triggers us feeling good. So we feel good when we help somebody else. And the person being helped, their serotonin levels, they feel good, feel helped. But even someone watching someone help someone else, their serotonin levels increase. There are incredible benefits, double blessings, expanding good happens when we lean on each other, help each other, support each other, and are there for one another. They also did a thing that shows it. When you're comparing talents on teams, it isn't the team that always has the most talent. It's a team that plays more like a team, that they trust each other, they support each other, they bring out the best in each other. You know, when geese fly in the V formation, when they fly together, they fly further and faster than if they were to fly on their own. When Jesus said, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them, he's saying when we pull together, we multiply and magnify that spirit, that energy, and that power. Study after study after study shows that the single greatest factor in determining how happy and fulfilled we are is helping others. That the more we help, support, interact, and care with people, it has huge impacts on our health, on our optimism, on our perspective. We tend to be more open-minded by seeing and helping more people in situations. We tend to open our minds and be less rigid. We tend to be kinder, more compassionate, more thoughtful. Life has more meaning and fulfillment for us. It is amazing how leaning on someone and having people lean on us, how much it benefits our lives. St. Francis said it beautifully. He said it is in the giving we receive. That the more we put ourselves out there, the better life is. And so what I think is we often hold back in some ways of living and loving and risking and reaching out. And so the lean on me is an invitation to lean in, to asking and giving and caring and sharing. I mean, it is powerful of helping and allowing ourselves to be helped. It is a thing that will make a huge difference in our lives. At some level, I think we think it's soft and we don't, oh, come on, that's not really going to help my life. More money, more success. No, it's actually helping other people. It will always come down to the quality of our lives, the quality of our relationships, and our willingness to have people lean on us and to us lean on others. The question is, are you willing to lean into it and give yourself wholeheartedly to that experience? So where in your life can you lean in a little more fully? Where in your life are you being called to lean into love and to lean into joy, lean into helping, and lean into allowing someone to help you? I don't think there's any greater feeling in the world than being loved, knowing that someone's got your back, that you are valuable and you're important to someone. And the flip side is to know that you're important to them as well, and they are important to you. There is something wonderful and miraculous because we are created in the image and likeness of love, and love is why we're here, and that's when we feel our best, when we are loving one another. Sometimes in the routine of life, attrition happens. And, we lose some connection with some friends, or, we don't feel as close, or they move away. You ever look at your life after a while and think, hey, man, I don't have as many friends or much social connection as I thought. And a part of leaning in to leading on is you got to sometimes maybe renew and get out there and make some new friends. Meet some new people. Go to some meetup meetings. Develop a prayer group. Do some volunteering. There are all kinds of ways that we need to open ourselves to new connections. Here's one. I give you a little challenge to meet one person and learn one person's name per week when you come to church and ask them one question and answer one question for them. And I guarantee you, over time, you will feel a closer connection and greater level of fulfillment and sense of oneness and community when you attend church, just by reaching out and connecting with someone else. And so, when it says in Scripture that we are here to build up the body of Christ, I think we're here to build relationships and build each other up by supporting and allowing ourselves to be supported. Because in life, we're supposed to be loved, feel loved, supported, and cared for. We are not supposed to feel isolation, loneliness, and indifference. That is far from what it is. And withdrawing creates that isolation and loneliness, that we do need to put it out there and to let our pain and sorrow turn into love, kindness, and caring. So even in the midst of your pain, remember there is hope for a better tomorrow. And your job is to be willing to ask, to reach out, and to be vulnerable and to share more of yourself, and then lean into it with an open heart. The great lesson is to love, to help, to need and to care for one another, because that's what makes the difference in life. It really makes our lives better. And that's what the message is in the song. All right.